Admiral, it's 2 a.m. on a Monday morning in July. You received credible evidence that there are incoming missiles from Russia. The GPS is out, satellite system is out, the phone system is down. Can you communicate to the President, and can the President communicate to our triad?
Senator, yes.
And you're confident of that? I think command and control is an essential part of the deterrent.
Senator, one, I couldn't agree with you more that command and control is an essential element to the deterrent. That a scenario that mission set is practiced every day at U.S. Strategic Command to allow people like me to be able to say that.
Without satellites, without the telephone network?
Senator, we have thought through all of that. It works. Obviously, satellites are a critical component to our NC3 capability, but we have capabilities beyond that.
That's reassuring, but I want your commitment to keep on this issue. And interestingly, it seems to me it has to be more or less public. I mean, we don't want to advertise to our adversaries our techniques, but we do need for our adversaries to know that we have a credible deterrent because we can continue to communicate. Otherwise, the deterrent effect goes away.
Senator, you are absolutely correct. You absolutely have that commitment, and I have that responsibility in writing from the Secretary of Defense.
Thank you. Let's talk again about deterrence. Deterrence has worked as a strategy for 70 years, but it's based upon a principle of a kind of mutual rationality, in effect, that neither side wants to incinerate their country and their countrymen. What worries me is the theory of deterrence doesn't work if non-state actors get a hold of nuclear weapons, because the normal, what happens if A, it's not a country, and B, the people don't care about dying? How do we, I think we need deterrence 2.0 to be thinking about that eventuality, because I see that as a not as a probability, but at least a possibility, and a very frightening one.
Senator, I agree with you. Deterrence is based in the eye of the opponent. Can I deny your aim? Can I impose a cost on you that is unacceptable to you? And do you believe me based on your value and how you judge things? A terrorist scenario is a very challenging one. The value systems are very different. Denying them the ability to have the weapon, deterring them, again, their value system, the efforts this nation has been after for many decades will be essential to ensure that what you described doesn't happen.
It seems to me that part of the key to that, in that scenario, is intelligence. We have to know that such a threat is imminent or possible, and how to deal with it in a different way than the traditional deterrence, because obviously to somebody who is willing to give up their life instantaneously, that's not an effective control. Let me change the subject entirely from these very serious matters we're talking about and go back to the beginning of your testimony, and this is a more general question. You talked about having redeployed 10 times in 20 years, every 2 years. Does that make sense in terms of both national policy and wear and tear on your family and their furniture? It worries me that a person of your expertise and knowledge gets set in a job, gains some expertise and knowledge, whether it's a commander of a submarine or of all the submarines, or our commander in Afghanistan. I worry that the churn undermines the continuity of information and knowledge and experience that would be beneficial if the tours were longer. Give me some thought. I want your personal reflections as
Senator Warren, I may not
officer.
be the best example of the military writ large. Also, if you go earlier in my career, I tended to stay longer in.
Could you not get along with the people where you went to all these places?
I was appreciative of the opportunity to broaden my experience base that the department gave me. And so there is a difference between, particularly after making flag rank and what happens before. The military very much values exactly what you're talking about. It's a policy, for example, of submarine force. We don't turn over commanding officers of submarines except about every 3 years to make sure we have the continuity that you're talking about.
Is 3 years the right number? How about 5 years?
I think 3 years, we've actually moved that around. No, 3 years, it is a very demanding, you have to go all in for those 3 years. So 3 years is about the right amount of time. Endurance, stamina, commitment, refresh with new leadership, 3 years is about the right time.
Well, I appreciate those comments, but I remain concerned about this general policy and whether 2 and 3 years is the right amount of time. There's also an enormous cost to the taxpayers in terms of retraining and moving people, but I appreciate your comments, and thank you for your commitment. I understand the knowledge and experience you bring to this, and I think it will be a great benefit to the country.